So we're talking about how we can tell community stories. So there are all kinds of inspiring and extraordinary things that happen in our communities. Things that are hyper-local at our high schools that aren't the sports that everyone goes to. There are activism in our communities that happens, but it kind of gets a very small spotlight. There are things that are unexpected. I'm glad we didn't have the kickoff last week. I'm from the Northeast, where a couple inches of snow is not a big deal, but I realize not quite ready for it down here. From protests to things that are totally unexpected, and thousands of things beyond that. The problem is many of these moments are not being told publicly, and emphasis on the word publicly. I'm not talking about birthday parties or retirement parties or things that are very private and personal. I'm talking about things that are public, but you're not sure how to get them out there. And as Marisha said, creating a website, creating a blog is a pretty high bar for a lot of people. And those are great mechanisms for doing that, but not everyone's going to do that. So one of the ways we dream up new products is to ask what if. What if questions. So what if it was effortless to capture these stories publicly from our smartphones? What if it was possible to publish them instantly to the web without having to do any setup? And what if it was accessible to anyone in our community? So not just the people we know, there are excellent tools for connecting content with people we know, but connecting content to people we know and that people we don't know, but who share a particular interest. And that's what we're trying to do with Bulletin. So that's what we're announcing. So that's a name. I will tell you, the code's hard. Getting the name is actually really hard too, and getting a logo. So the engineers do the fun stuff, writing the code. I have to wrangle the name and the logo. So we're very excited about this. As Marisha said, this started as just a twinkling of an idea 18 months ago, and it came from a passion around hyper-local community content. And outside of work, I've actually been an education blogger for the last 8 years and found the extraordinary power and value of telling hyper-local education stories that otherwise aren't told. So let me go down a level deeper. So it's an app, but it's the next-gen app that does not require a download. You don't have to go to any of the app stores to download this. It works right out of a browser. Part of making it effortless, part of removing any inconvenience, part of removing friction is making it an app that does not require a download, because we know that folks make decisions about what apps they're going to fill their phone up with. So no app download, but all the convenience of an app. For any tech bloggers in the crowd, it's a progressive web app. For everyone else, don't worry about that. So how does this work? So we wanted to make this effortless. When you hide complexity and make things easier, you create value. So making things super easy is really hard. Making things that are hard is actually much easier. So we want to make it completely effortless. So if you can text, if you can take a photo, if you can shoot a video on your phone, you can create a bulletin story. You can create a public presence on the web, a public web document, without knowing anything beyond that. So when you get started, and after I'm done talking, and I'm not going to talk for too long, we're going to wander around and show you this product and encourage all of you to sign up to try it out. Because after today, we'll be unleashing this into the world, and you are the very first people that are going to get a chance to try this. So it's as simple as saying, I want to start my story with text, photo, or video. And you can immediately share it, because the minute you take that first photo, text, or video, it is a public document on the web immediately. And then it behaves a little bit techy here, like a live blog, right? So you can keep adding to that document. You can add more photos, more videos. So imagine you're at a high school basketball game, and you want to capture that for the community permanently, because it's a document on the web, but you want people to follow along. You can do both of those. So at the start of the game, you share out a link that you just created right here with that very first photo or score from the game, and as you add scores and photos and video clips, people can keep that open in their browser and see as it updates. The people reading these stories, all they need is a browser. They don't need to install anything. They don't even need to know Bulletin exists. In fact, for many people, the creator will know all about Bulletin. The people consuming these stories will have no idea that Bulletin is even a thing. Because there's no requirement. Again, if we're going to make this effortless, which was a word that was burned into our skulls from the beginning of this, then we can't have homework for the people consuming these stories. And then because it's a public web document, a permanent record on the web, you can potentially find it in a search engine, right? Search engines can only surface stuff that's public. So by making it public, it is possible for it to be, and that's how you connect this content, these stories, to people that you don't know, but who have a shared interest, and that interest is expressed through what they're searching for. It can be, the content is available for local publishers, and we've been talking to and working with local publishers the last year as we did research, because if you're using Bulletin, you want this story told as widely as possible. You have something you're passionate about, something in your community you want to put a spotlight on, some injustice you want to put a spotlight on, and you want this told as widely as possible, so it make it easier for local publishers to take and use your content with credit given. So the licensing requires that they give you credit. You can, of course, share it into a social network because it's a link. It's a link into the web, but in addition to it being shared, it remains accessible forever through search engines. If you decide you're done with that content and you want to take it down, you control it. You can take it down, and then you can also send the link out through email messaging. So you can create this one public web document and still use all the other channels that you wanted to. There's no cost, it's totally free, and it is about enriching the public web for local content. And of course you want to know you're doing this to generate some impact on your community, so you can monitor in near real time how many times this document's been viewed, regardless of whether it was viewed through a social network or through an email or text. You can see how many times it's been shared and how many times it's been liked. And you get that aggregated for all of your stories. You also get, in addition to a web page for each of the stories, you get a profile page that has all the stuff you've done. So if someone says, wow, this person is a model train enthusiast and goes all across the country covering model train events, as a far out example, well, you could tap on their name and all the stories that they've done in addition to the individual one. So some real examples. So these are all stories I've created over the last couple of weeks. So yesterday, I went to the Johnny Cash Museum, and this is sort of an afternoon detour to the Nashville Johnny Cash Museum. And I went in, and I will actually get out of the presentation. I'm assuming we're online. We'll find out in a minute. And hold on. And I